And I have to say that all of the people who take the opportunity and take a risk and stand up for what they believe in and for their principles and for kindness, they are the superheroes of the world right now. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's helping to try and make this world a better place. And you're not alone. That's the other thing. You're not alone. There are many, many of us out there. And X-Men, you know, the show will continue to touch and go beyond boundaries. Because a lot of what we write and then perform is done maybe a year or 2 years before it actually gets seen by the public. But it's bizarre because it's almost like we're prescient. It's like we're doing stuff in our art, and it's like, oh shit, now it's happening in real life.
Yeah.
So it's like, what comes first? You know, does life imitate art, or does art imitate life? Or as Chris said, like Shakespeare. Shakespeare was 500 years ago, but guess what? The same stories keep happening over and over again. The same tragedies, the same wars, the hatred, the bigotry, the trying to put one group of people and make them the enemy, and everybody has to hate them so they feel better about themselves. That is a constant thing that humankind has been going and doing for eons. And I look forward to a day when we all look at this tiny little planet and go, we're all like little specks on this tiny little planet, this little other tiny speck that's spinning around in space, part of the greater cosmos, and we're all equal, and we all just want the same thing: to be respected, to belong, to have happiness, and to have safety for our children. And so I look forward to that day. So I wore a t-shirt that is, I love this t-shirt. A fan gave it to me, but I don't know if you can see it, but it says, "What defines us is hope. That's why we never give up." And that's an X-Men line that Rogue says in a comic book called Excalibur. So please keep those words to heart.
Here, here, here. All right. Who has the next question? Yes, I saw the hand go up in the back, and then I've got you up here in the hat. So yes, you right there with the multicolored, whatever the hat is, it's hard to see. Deadpool.
Yeah. All right. First of all, I just want to say, growing up, love watching you guys. Still love watching you guys with the X-Men '97, the art going on. I actually fell more in love with it as an adult than I did as a kid. Don't ask me why. Mostly because Rogue looks a lot cuter now than what she did back in the day. But what I was curious about was, it's kind of a two-part thing. One, do y'all think you're doing justice to the mutant mutiny or mutant, where they execute the mutants and stuff like that? That story arc that took place where you see Wolverine get his adamantium skeleton yanked from his flesh. Y'all think you do justice by that? And number two, it's most important, I'm sure everybody in this room wonders, what on God's green earth are we getting another season, X-Men '97? We've been dying for it.
Yeah, basically what you're talking about, like when he loses the adamantium, when we do these stories, we're not necessarily doing a panel by panel show based upon the book, but we take the heart of what has happened in the books, and we adapt it to whatever the story is at the time. And yeah, I remember the story when he gets adamantium ripped out of his body, but it felt more appropriate, instead of doing that storyline, to do it in a different situation for that story with Magneto. So I understood why they did it there, and it was very graphic. Believe me, it was more graphic than you saw.
Yeah.
We had outtakes, and it's like, ooh, we can't show this one. It's pretty strong. So, no, I think they did a very good adaptation. What was the second part of the question?
The second part of it is, I was
Oh.
wondering, well, God,
What is coming
This
out?
summer.
It's supposed to be this summer.
Oh,
And I
God.
talked to Brad, and the only thing he would tell me was the summer.
That's all he'll tell me. I tried in my last recording session. Any dates? This summer.
Yeah. So it's like, who knows?
This summer.
This
It'll be
summer.
June, July, or August, I guess.
Yeah. Somewhere out there.
All right, next question we have there with the hat, yeah.
I'm just curious, we had talked about previously, like, X-Men always being on the right side of history and moving forward. I'm curious for the entire panel, just as either a writer, voice actor, what have you drawn from this as far as dialogue or storylines? Anything that you've seen from X-Men that kind of has helped you evolve, grow, something you've taken away that you use in everyday life?
Well, I'm probably my answers tend to be simpler, not as deep as the others. I wish I was. To me, the X-Men being involved in it is the greatest gift I've had in my entire 600 episodes of television I've filmed on camera. Started in 7 or 8 different TV series, and the last one I just left is 18 years I did. I did the X-Men back in the 90s on my lunch hour when I was beating up bad guys with David Carradine on Kung Fu. I didn't take it all that seriously. It was a cartoon. Little did I know that this would be the gift that keeps on giving for so many reasons. It brought me back together with all of these people that we worked with back in the 90s, that I didn't see for 20 years. It put us in front of all the fans that we never even knew we had after all of those years. Without X-Men 97, we wouldn't be sitting here right now because we still not know that you're out here with stuff for us to sign. I got comic books and VHS tapes coming up to the table. People said, but I've had this since 1993 or whatever. So that's been a big part of it for me. It's the fellowship, the family, being a part, being an X-Men is a big one. Now, I have to let the cat out of the bag here for this group when I just turn off your phones. But I'm also so lucky to be sitting here right now. Because last June, at a Comic-Con in Charlotte, North Carolina, I had a massive stroke. The whole left side of my body. After the con. And I'd asked Larry if he'd like to go and grab something to eat with me. And fortunately he said, yeah, I'll meet you in 15 minutes across the street at the wing place where I went. I'll cut the story short, but I was in an ambulance in one of the best hospitals for stroke in America in Charlotte within the hour. Thanks to Larry showing up, making sure I got in an ambulance, and talking to my freaked out wife who was talking to a guy in the middle of a stroke from another country. And they saved my life. And I got a shot that busted up the clot. And it was a combination of timing and being part of this thing and Larry. And I haven't told anybody this, except some of my fellow. So that question just hit me so hard because I thought, what has X-Men done for me? Everything. And that's all I really have to say. I'm just glad I can tell you because, as you can see, I can speak, I can do this. I was so close to not being able to do anything. So I scared the shit out of Larry, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and luckily I have my son who's works in the medical field, and he's taught me about what happened to you, so I instantly knew what was going on, and to get on the 911 and to make sure, get your ass down here fast. You know, I got a friend who's in need of medical help as quickly as possible, and so I just wanted to stay on top of it and make sure everything was cool, and that your wife had the exact information she needed to follow up. Because I tried to follow him in the ambulance, and the guy said, "Are you relative?" I'm going, "No, kick him out." So, ambulance took him away. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, we can laugh now, but I'll tell you, it was. I'm sorry if that didn't exactly answer your question,
No,
but the fact is,
great.
We're all here because of the X-Men, and we're in it together, and we're going to take this right to the finish line. And I'm Thank you. We're working on season 2.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
I'd like to just add one more thing. We're so glad to have you as well.
Yeah.
We love you. You know, we've become a family.
Well, thank you, Ro.
You don't understand. But, you know, we were really close 30 years ago when we all did it. We all felt like we were part of a rock band or something. And now it's like we have really become a family, especially with some of the newer cast members who also joined us. And oftentimes, in answer to your question, I still wonder, perhaps Magneto was right.
Yeah.
All right, who has our next question? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
For Larry, since you were a fan of the comics before, what was it like dealing with Marvel Entertainment to get the show made? Since Gambit wasn't really developed yet, did they tell you what characters you wanted, they wanted you to put in? Were there characters that you wanted to put in that you couldn't do at the time? Maybe you saved for another season?
We basically, when we developed the first in '92, we had a full roster of X-Men, but Marvel New York had these brand new characters that had only been in the books maybe 9 months, less than a year. This new character called Gambit and Rogue and Jubilee. And so we said, okay, we came with a compromise, so we knew we could only handle so many characters in 22 minutes. And so, you know, Colossus left, Nightcrawler left, you know, Kitty Pryde left in favor of the new characters that we put into the show. And that's where that roster